please. Make sure your mics are on. Speak into your mics. Okay, I'm going to call the public hearing to order. We will have a public hearing be prior to our regular council meeting this evening, so call the order the public hearing with regard to the rezoning request for Truro Road to rezone lots 24-1 and 24-2 from rural residential to residential 2-unit dwelling. The first reading was held on September the 23rd this year, and we're open for discussion. Planning Director Sean, do you want to say a few words about this rezoning?
Well, I'm going to do a little quick PowerPoint here.
Even better.
Yeah. So, let's see if I can start this. There we go. Now I have to lean into this, don't I?
You do.
I wonder if it can go higher.
Turn this part, Sean. This piece.
Down here?
Yep. And then raise it up.
Oh, that's much better. Thank you. Okay, does that sound like it's registering now?
Yeah.
I feel like I'm right in top of it. Okay, so as Mayor White noted, we're here for an amendment to the land use bylaw. It's a rezoning in this instance. And we're looking at rezoning two pieces of property from R1, or rural residential, my bad, to 2-unit residential. The location's on Truro Road, and they have subdivision lot identification because the lots were reconfigured recently from the original configuration. So within a land use bylaw, there are a number of zones. They are all conceived of under policy under a residential designation. And as with most towns, there's a very large residential designation in the Westville area. And within that designation, we have a series of zones. So there's R1, residential single unit, R2, 2-unit, residential multi-unit, rural residential, and the mini home zone. These are a little bit misleading because in many of them you can have more than one unit. For instance, in the R1 it is possible through various mechanisms within the land use bylaw. And within any zone, through special provisions such as a site plan approval, you can have more units than you can see there as well. In this instance, the lot is zoned rural residential, which is a designation or a zone that's intended for large outlying lots within the town that typically are not serviced. The applicants are looking to rezone it to 2-unit, R2, so that they can do more with the land and provide more housing for the town. This is the location. You can see it's just east of Angel Street, and the lots compared to what's around them are, well, going to the left, they're about the same size. Going elsewhere, they're quite small. This is the property, how it looked when I did my last site visit, but since then we have had trees removed to make way for dwellings. Each of those lots, if I just back up a second here, each of those lots is capable of housing a pretty substantial dwelling unit. And as I mentioned before, within this zone, you can have 2 units on a lot. This is a more detailed view of the two lots, 24-1 and 24-2. You'll see just south of that there's an area of land that's not included, and then there's a much larger lot, lot 24-3, that is the result of the reorganization of lot lines on this property, but they are all held by the same company. And this is what they would like to do. This is a classic semi-detached single-level building, so you can see that there's a bit of a fence in between the two sides. The sides are identical but mirror imaged, and they each have 2 bedrooms. So that just gives you a sense of the floor plan. And what the R2 designation does for us in this instance, it allows us to divide those into 2 separate properties. So because in the rural residential zone, lot sizes are very large. The minimum frontage is 100 feet. When you go to R2, you can have a minimum lot frontage of 50 feet, so quite a difference. And in the instance of a semi-detached unit, you can have a total lot area of 60, which gets reduced down to 30 per side, depending on the available land and the design of the buildings. In this instance, we'd be going from over 100 to a little bit over 50 per side. So this is the proposed lot configuration. You can see a dashed red line. It's a bit faint, but that shows basically the building area envelope where you could put buildings on the site based upon the setbacks that we have within the zone. And it shows where they're proposing to site these buildings and also how they're proposing to divide the lots. One of the most important things when we're looking at something like this is, are there any dangers represented by a new access onto a road? So these are the stopping sight distance photos I took, and looking both west and east, we have very good stopping sight distance. So one of the things that we do when we're looking at rezonings is we talk to our own staff, and I spoke with the traffic authority, and he found that this was a safe access point for these lots. We also, when we're reviewing any sort of an amendment to the land use bylaw, and a rezoning is an amendment to the land use bylaw, we have a number of planning considerations. I've distilled it down a little bit more, but in the reports that were made available, it goes into more detail. So we have a policy, implementation policy 12, it's an evaluation criteria. So for example, we have to assess whether the proposal meets, generally speaking, all the other planning policies and regulations. I already spoke about road safety, but we also talked to Public Works and the fire chief. They've had a look at it, and they're satisfied that there won't be any concerns raised by this development. Proximity to town amenities. It is on the outskirts of the kind of the core of the town, but obviously compared to other sites in the county, it's pretty close. And we're hoping that going forward, we'll actually have a trail leading down to the area of the school, but that's another phase and to be discussed later on. There were no environmental constraints that were raised. The site has a gentle grade down to the street. There's no waterways in the area, and nothing else that we're aware of, at least, that would provide an environmental concern. And lastly, trees and buffering. Now, the site is surrounded by 3 sides by the owners or the applicant's property, and there is a lot going west that is fairly close, but there's a substantial tree buffer against that lot or between those 2 lots. This is an interesting one to try to imagine the rezoning implications. With a rezoning, the town can't force the developer to do exactly what they say they're going to do. You can only say, yes, the thing you want to do, or you're telling us you want to do, is possible if we rezone you. In this instance, there is very little more, in fact, there isn't any more that really could be done with the site as of right within the R2 zone. So they will be using that zone to its fullest in an as of right application, which simply means that if they meet the setbacks and the area coverage and parking and those sorts of things, they get a development permit. Most of our residential zones, however, through site plan approval or development agreement, could see more development happen, but in each case, there is a public consultation. With the site plan approval, if they go through all the processes and provide a site plan that meets the evaluation criteria, the development officer, which is me in this instance, can approve that, but then a notice is sent out to the neighborhood saying, do you have any concerns about this? In the case of a development agreement, which would be a much larger kind of project, it goes through a public hearing, it goes to PAC, there's a whole number of steps, and it can be appealed to the I'll just wait a sec. No problem. It can be appealed to the provincial government. So really what is being proposed right now is about all that you might expect to happen on this site without more public review and another public hearing. So it's a pretty safe bet. We also look at, in all instances, statements of provincial interest. So there's a number of these. There's one about Is it going to impact drinking water in any sort of fashion? Is there any flood risk associated with the proposed development? Is it impacting good agricultural land? And is it in any way causing poor decisions to be made about infrastructure? In each of these, staff would suggest that there aren't any concerns. There's no implication to drinking water. It's a very small development. It is on municipal drinking water. There's no flood risk associated with it. It's not an area of agricultural land. It's not been identified as such. And there's no new infrastructure to be put in, at least by the town. The last one, however, is important. It's housing. And the province asks that we, as municipal government, seek to ensure a good supply of housing, both in terms of type of housing and also in terms of affordability of housing. So that means that we need a good supply of small units, big units, apartments available for sale, for rent, condos, and all these sorts of things, so that people can find housing within our community. And right now, as everyone knows, we're struggling. We're all struggling with respect to housing. We have a very difficult situation right across the nation, and I think in the United States as well, with respect to housing. COVID created a lot of trouble for us. We still have a labor supply shortage. The cost of materials hasn't really gone down as much as you might hope, and money is still fairly expensive. So all of these together have created a very difficult situation for people looking for housing, whether it's to rent or to purchase. These will be available for purchase, and by dint of being subdivided in the way they are compact units that can, when you bring down the size of the units, the amount of materials needed, the amount of land needed, that all helps bring down the cost of those units. So it makes them more attainable for more people in the community. It also makes them more affordable to operate. If they're smaller units, particularly where they share walls, you have lower heating and cooling costs, lower maintenance costs. So we nail it on the housing statement of provincial interest with respect to this application. And I think that that's all I needed to say. Hopefully, this is one building containing two houses, each of which would be for sale, and then of course there would be another one very much like it if this rezoning goes ahead. Again, however, under the rural residential designation, you can have two of these. You just can't individually own the two sides. So someone would have to buy the whole thing and then rent out one side. So the idea is that let's make them all available for sale.
Thank you very much, Mr. Day. Just a question. So the application for this hearing, the public hearing, was advertised according to requirements under the Act?
That's correct.
Can verify that?
We have new requirements under the Act, and our
Yes.
CAO can speak to that if he feels the need to. But
Yeah, just that the only thing I would add is that we had nobody responded, so neither for nor against.
Right. Okay, no comments either way. That was my next question. So at this point in time then, unless there's someone, is there anyone that wants to speak on the rezoning application before us? Hearing none.
I just had one quick question.
Absolutely.
Where the two lots are being divided into four, there's two access points to the two existing lots already. Is there gonna be two new access points to each of the other two lots that are being created?
at this point, I haven't seen a final plan of where driveways will be.
Right, yeah.
So they could have individuals, or they could have ones that share access.
Right.
In any event, the site stopping or the stopping
Yeah,
site
that
distance
wasn't
would
an
be.
issue. Yeah, no, I was just more worried about where it was, because this next question would be, who would be responsible for the culvert, the infrastructure for that? Would that be the proponent?
So we
or-
do, the town does put in the culverts,
Culvert,
and then
yeah.
they would do the rest.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Anything else, council, from council, with regard to this? If not, we can I'll entertain a motion with regard to the zoning request. Someone wants to make that? All right, Deputy Mayor?
Whereas Stone Superior Homes Limited have applied to rezoning properties 24-1 and 24-2 of Plan 24-116-3201 Old Truro Road from rural residential to residential 2-unit dwelling. And whereas on September 18th, 2024, at its regular meeting, the Town of Westville's Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, reviewed and recommended that the Town Council approve the request.
We have to do that with council.
Oh, not right now.
Sorry, yeah.
All those in favor? keep going.
Save that
Correct.
thought. Absolutely, my fault, my bad, I forgot that we were at the public hearing stage, not the council stage. We have to deal with this when we get into our council
It's all
meeting
good.
appropriately.
It's just practice.
Or we get it sent back from the province, I'm sure. So with that, I think there's no further business for the public hearing. I'll adjourn the public hearing. We will continue. I don't think we need a break, seeing as all the important people are in the room that need to be here for the next portion of our evening, and that's our regular monthly council meeting. First of all, I want to say congratulations to the new council. This is our first official meeting as a council for the term, and welcome aboard, and look forward to working with each and all of you for the next 4 years. I'm going to acknowledge that we are meeting in Mi'kma'ki, the ancestral and unceded territory of the Mi'kmaq. We recognize that we are all treaty people as we work towards reconciliation. Also want to acknowledge the histories, legacies, and contributions of the African Nova Scotia people who have been here for over 400 years. With that, roll call. To my right, Councillor Dunn, Councillor McGregor, CAO Weirs, myself, Mayor White, Deputy Mayor McKinnon, and Councillor Fraser, as well as Recording Secretary Reid down at the end. All here and accounted for. So before we actually get into the agenda portion of our meeting, we've got some pleasant tasks to do this evening. And I'm going to, for the first portion of it, I'm going to ask the CAO Weirs perhaps to do the honors. So those of you that aren't familiar, the Nova Scotian Federation of Municipalities recognizes service accomplishments by municipal people throughout the province, people that have served on councils for significant periods of time. And they used to do this at the annual meeting in Halifax, which is coming up this week, actually, tomorrow starts. And they decided this year that instead of doing that in isolation at that meeting in Halifax, that they would send it out to the individual councils to perform those duties in their own municipalities. And so I'm very pleased that we're able to do that this evening. And I'm just going to ask CAO Weirs to read the certificate and the recognition accordingly, and I will present them as we do that.
So it's a certificate of recognition from the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities, presented to whoever, in recognition of X years of dedicated service to municipal government in the province of Nova Scotia. And in the first case, it would be Councillor Clary McKinnon, recognizing 15 years of municipal service.
She didn't arrange for a photographer, I'm sorry. We need somebody to do that for us. So, yeah, so Clary, this is recognizing 15 years of dedicated service to municipal government in the province, as was said. And I know that 15 years, you had 5 here in the last 5 years, correct?
Yes.
And you had 10 other ones in other parts of the province, right?
Right.
So it's all a cumulative effort. So 15 years in total. Let me take these spectacles off so I'm not a professor or something.
Very nice.
Congratulations, Mary. We recognized Terry previously on our own at council here, as many will recall, for his service here in Westville. And beyond that, at that time, we recognized that he's got like how many years total public service? 43?
Actually, it was 3 years out in the county,
Yes.
representing Forford and surrounding area. 8 years in East Hants and 5 years here.
Right.
And 8 years on the Colchester East End School Board and 8 years in the legislature.
I can't do the math, but it's a lot of years.
I kicked around.
It's a lot of years to do with public service. We thank you again.
Running out of fingers.
We thank you again on behalf of the residents of Westville for all that public service. Next one. Bernie Murphy. Bernie Murphy. It gives me great pleasure to recognize Bernie's 10 years of dedicated service to the town of Westville in the form of council membership, and served as the deputy mayor the last year of our term previously. And the certificate actually reads, presented to Deputy Mayor Bernie Murphy. So very appropriate. Bernie, thank you very much. Hold on. Stay right here. Don't go anywhere. I got another one for you.
That's
That's not the right one. Oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry. I'll get it. So I have another one which recognizes, as I said, Bernie's contribution to the town of Westville for 10 years of service here on the council. It reads, this scroll recognition acknowledges a significant contribution to the institution of local government. It further acknowledges a commitment to the philosophy, goals, and activities of continual improvement in the town for its citizenry. Presented at the regular council meeting today, November the 25th, 2024. Bernie, this is a small recognition for, as we were talking about, the years that you spent here on council. This comes from us, not from the NSFM, so we want to double up on it to make sure that you realize that we are grateful. And I can tell you, from talking to many residents, the contribution that you made has not gone unrecognized. I'm repeatedly reminded of it by people that comment to me, constantly in the last number of weeks about the contribution that you've made. So I hope you realize that, and we want to recognize it here this evening publicly and before all the residents of Westville. And we hope you'll continue your involvement in the community. We know that you're continuing your involvement in the fire department. Bernie's also the treasurer of the fire department, as probably a lot of you know. He makes a great contribution in that regard. And thank you for that as well.
We have one more to make, and it's my pleasure to present to Mayor Lenny White in recognition of his 15 years of service in municipal government. The recognition from NSFM.
15 years, I don't know the day Once again, people are going to say, 15 years, you could run us for that long? No, I've been on council here for 12 years. This is starting my 13th year. And I spent 3 years on town council in the town of Kempsville, like 100 years ago. I was a mere child. So not to take anything away from the previous recognition that we just did, but we have another rather significant event that we want to acknowledge this evening publicly, and on behalf of residents of Westville and beyond, for that matter, well beyond Westville, and that's to recognize Acropole Pub and Grill, who are celebrating their, get this now, 50th anniversary this year. If you don't mind, please, and accept this small token of recognition on behalf of.
Very good, very
on behalf
nice.
of the town. I'll read what the citation says. It says, Town Council, on behalf of all residents of Westville, extend their most sincere congratulations to the owners of Acropole, Pub and Grill on its 50th anniversary of business. The employees of this restaurant exemplify the best in customer service and dedication. We are proud that you have chosen to continue your business in the town of Westville. Town Council places a high value on Acropole Pub and Grill as a member of our business community. Reaching a 50-year milestone is no small feat in today's business landscape, and your continued success is a testament to your commitment to excellence. signed by me, Mayor Lenny White. Congratulations. I'm just going to say, beyond Westwood's known for a lot of things, right? We have our coal mining history, we have our July 1st celebrations, we have, lots of other things that we recognize. But the one thing that I can say is that when I go away somewhere, and I have to say where I'm from, they say, "You got a great pizza shop in Westwood." What's it? I say, Agricole, yeah, that's it, exactly. So it goes well beyond the town of Westwood. And we really appreciate the fact that you continue to do your business here. We know, beyond the business, we all recognize as well the fact that you make great contributions to the community on all.
Here.
We recognize the contribution of the old 48 coming back to town. We know the role you played in that, and that just alone was significant. But we know you do other things as well. You're a great corporate citizen, and we really appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
Free pizza for everyone.
That one wasn't on the agenda.
No. No, it was an email. You didn't get the email.
Okay,
Email.
now we get down to the mundane task of actual having a council meeting. That was a lot of fun, and I appreciate you guys coming and participating. Any declaration of conflict of interest this evening? Hearing none. Additions, deletions, or approval of the tentative agenda, please.
Your worship, I'd move to approve the agenda as circulated.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Ready for the question?
Question.
Questions called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Councillor Dunn got her first second again, just to acknowledge that,
right.
let the record note. Approval of the minutes of the public hearing on September the 23rd, 2024.
I'll move to approve the minutes of the public hearing September 23rd, 2024.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. You ready for the question?
Question.
Questions called. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's carried. Special, regular council meeting of September the 23rd, 2024.
I wasn't here.
I will do it. Okay, I'll move to pass the council meeting minutes of September 23rd, 2024.
Moved, seconder.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. You ready for the question?
Question.
Questions called. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's carried. Special council meeting, October the 9th, 2024.
I'll move to approve the special council meeting October 9th, 2024.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded.
Go ahead, Mitch.
Ready for the question? All in
Question.
favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay.
Nay.
Motion
Nay.
carried. Swearing in on October the 30th.
I was here for that.
Is there minutes for that?
Apparently there were.
Okay.
I
think
know
they
there
were
was an
circulated,
agenda, but
I'll move to accept the swearing in minutes from October 30th, 2024.
Seconder.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Ready for the question?
Question.
Questions called. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Moving on then to committee reports. General government, first my report, which was attached to your package that was sent out. I just wanted to add a couple things. In my haste, I neglected a few things, and obviously want to acknowledge another successful Remembrance Day celebration put on by the Legion. Great work by the Legion again in bringing the Remembrance Day service to the community. And I think it goes without saying the turnout was phenomenal, particularly considering the weather that day. And I expected maybe our crowd would be down a little bit, but I don't think there was any difference in the number of people that attended, so, which is fantastic, really. And it's great to see this Remembrance Day basically growing every year, if anything. And we appreciate the Legion's work on that. Also had the privilege of attending the fire department 150th banquet celebration. And a great event put on by the fire department that evening to acknowledge the 150th anniversary. And we once again, as a council, I think, on behalf of council, I want to say congratulations again to amazing 150-year anniversary of the department that preceded the incorporation of the town, which you'll see behind me says 1894, or over there somewhere. We moved it. Also, I had the opportunity yesterday on behalf of council and staff and all residents of Westville to attend the Pictou County Christmas Fund and present a check from the town in the amount of $500, which was well received and appreciated. By the way, they had the most successful fundraising to date, and this was the 50th anniversary of that fund actually, and they raised the most money that they have ever in its 50-year history yesterday, and I think it was $106,000
Yep, over
and some
$106.
dollars. So fantastic.
That's awesome.
Much
That's a lot
needed,
of
as we
meals.
all know, this year. Also this morning, the CAO and I attended the Shared Services Committee meeting, as well as the Mayors and Wardens Committee meeting, and I'll have a report on that at a further time. And that's my report, based and with what I've in my written report. Sorry. Then, okay, Deputy Mayor McKinnon.
All right, thank you, Your Worship. I second the excellent Remembrance Day ceremony, and the turnout of the people of Westville was absolutely wonderful. And the 150th anniversary that they had at the fire department was a beautiful meal, and so many people that are unsung heroes that were recognized in the history and current members. So a lot to be proud of there. This month, we're getting settled in as a new council, getting assigned all of our new committees. So I'm excited to start the next 8 committees that I've been assigned to. I'm looking forward to working with everyone. We had our Planning Advisory Committee meeting, which was excellent. A lot of information, a lot of wonderful things that are on the horizon for developments and things that are coming to Westville. So it's exciting. Stay tuned. I must say, I do use the dog park quite often. I've been going there for a long time, and I'm pleased to see there's more puppies there to play with my dogs now. So it is getting more used. The word's getting out. There are a couple of issues that I'd like to see resolved with it, just some fencing and things like that that are a little bit low, so be cautious with your pups. We do have some signage that is going to be placed that will be put up soon, just giving everybody, the instructions to kind of use it at your own risk. The Legion's been doing a great job, and I'm sure our town workers have as well, at trying to make it a little bit less flooded at the entrance and making sure that it's now blocked and the dogs can't get out the main gate. So I'm pleased to see that coming along and meeting lots of new people there, and it's just a great place to exercise your dogs. Our craft fair on the weekend was very successful. I was pleased to see so many vendors, and that the rain did not hold back attendees either. There was lots of people out with wonderful things to buy for the holiday season. And the other thing, I just wanted to acknowledge our Christmas Parade of Lights coming up on December 7th at 7 p.m. And it's one to remember. It's the fire department's 25th year. So kudos to them for that. That's very exciting and always enjoyed by the residents of Westville and people all over Pictou County. And that is my report for this month.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Councillor Dunn.
Well, my report's not like that, let me tell you. I've actually attended a new councillor conference in Halifax, which was phenomenal. Learned a lot, forgot a lot, but learned a lot. Attended a committee of the whole meeting and and a PAC meeting, so that's about it for me.
Thank you very much. Councillor Fraser.
Hello, everybody. I'm excited to be here for my first meeting. I, with Councillor Dunn, attended some training in Halifax earlier this month, 2 days of training, and as she mentioned, it was a lot of information, very, very helpful. We're still, I'm sure, sorting through some of it. I've been reading through some of the material and using some of the links provided to get familiar with the processes. I'm excited to get to work for you and get on all these committees. I've just been looking at my assignments, so I'm looking forward to the next 4 years, and let's get at it.
Thank you very much. Councillor McGregor.
Thank you, Your Worship. I've noticed that I've been relegated to the bottom alphabetically here, which is not necessarily a bad thing because I can just say ditto for the.
Or we could say ladies first.
Ladies
Councillor McGregor,
first.
we could say ladies first.
Oh, fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, it was interesting because I was looking back thinking that the time since the election and leading up to it was a quiet time where we didn't have any committee assignments, and it just wasn't correct. There was a lot of stuff on the go the last month. The two important things I really want to note, they've already been said, but special shout out to the fire department and the 150. That was well done. That was one of the best events that I've attended in a long time. And also a thank you to the Legion for the Remembrance Day ceremonies, even though it was in the wet. I think we're one of the only towns in the county that actually had ours outside, so we toughed it out. So I don't know, maybe we want to explore alternate arrangements for the future. I don't know if we've ever really discussed that before, but I think it's definitely something that we should. I don't think it was, it wasn't a showstopper by any stretch, so. That said, no, I think it's all been said. I'm looking forward to the committee assignments tonight, and I'll have more, obviously, to report next month as we start attending our, between, 7 and 9 committees that we all get assigned to each term, so thank you, Your Worship.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Yeah, on the Remembrance Day, I think that I heard that Stullerton moved theirs inside. This is not saying this in a negative way against Stullerton, but apparently some people that appreciate the fact of going to an event outside, regardless of the weather, attending a Remembrance Day service, came from Stullerton to Westville when they heard that we were doing it outside. I did hear that through the grapevine on Remembrance Day. So that's an interesting sort of take on it, that some people prefer, regardless of the conditions, to tuck it out, as you said, Councillor, and have it outside. It has more significance, there's no question about it, in my mind at least, anyway. Councillor, our CAO Weirs, we don't want to saddle you with being a councillor. You have enough to do.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing to add to the report that was attached.
Thank you very much. Okay, moving on then to Protective Services, Chief of Police report.
I'll move to approve the Protective Services Chief of Police report attached.
And I should say, I'm sorry, the Protective Services, including the Chief of
Fire
Police.
Department,
Fire Department and
drug
dog
control.
We changed that so we do it once.
Yeah.
Have a
I can
seconder?
second that, yep.
Moved and seconded, ready for the question?
Question.
On the question.
On the
there,
question?
we were just a question on the police report. There was not a police commission meeting. It hasn't gone through the commission yet to
Okay,
get to this
good point.
table, unless it's the one from.
It's the previous one, yeah.
Perfect.
So we're okay?
Yeah.
Okay, ready for the question? Questions called, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Recreation, Culture, and Leisure Services. Rather lengthy report was circulated, as you know, which is not unusual from that department on a monthly basis. Lots of activity going on.
Your Worship, I'd move to accept the Recreation, Culture, and Leisure Services report as circulated.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded, you ready for the question?
Question.
Questions called, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion carried. Transportation, Environmental Health Services, which includes the Water Report, Public Works Report, Solid Waste Report, and the Pictou County Transit Report.
I'll move to pass the Transportation and Environmental Health Services, including the Water Report, Public Works Report, Solid Waste Report, and the Pictou County Transit Report.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded, you ready for the question?
Question.
Questions being called, those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Before we move on to the next one, I just want to publicly acknowledge, I don't know if it has been done yet, but publicly acknowledge and recognize that Chris Seelig has been appointed as Superintendent of Public Works for the town of Westville. After
Congratulations, Chris.
certainly want to congratulate Chris on achieving that position through an advertised and interview process from the town. And Chris was the successful candidate in that process. And we certainly recognize Chris, his past contributions that have led him to this position in the town, and we appreciate the fact that he took the step of putting his name forward for that position and was successful in the competition. And I want to point that out clearly. This was not something that was just done by appointment without the competition occurring. Other applicants were received and interviewed, and Chris went through that process the same as the other ones did, with no favor, and on a scoring ratio that was done so that it wouldn't be subjective but more objective. Chris came out on top and was awarded offered the position, which he accepted. So we're totally excited to have Chris on board, and we know that he's going to continue the great work that he's been doing on behalf of residents for some time now. So congratulations, Chris, again. Okay, moving on then to environmental development, fire inspection and planning and development report from November.
I move to accept the environmental development report, both the fire inspection and planning and development as submitted.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Ready for the question? Questions called. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion's carried. And we say this at planning advisory meetings, but I'll say it again. Anyone wants to know what's going on in this town that we keep talking about, that change is coming and things are happening, like we've been talking about for the last number of years, have a look at the planning and development report, monthly report. It'll give you a good idea of what's to come in town. And that's only the surface. That's not the, there's other things going on that haven't got to the report stage yet. So stand by for that. Moving on then to new and unfinished business, committee appointments. So the procedure is that each year we have the appointments for the assignments from council members to various committees that we're responsible for. Some of them are internal committees that we have here in town, but a number of them are committees that we have representation on behalf of the town of Westville on committees and groups throughout the county. And so they're included in on the listing. So the list was circulated. I just want to make one change to that. There was a bit of an error there in what was circulated to you all. And that had to do with the 144 Flight Engineers Corps. It should say Mitchell McGregor, Councillor McGregor is on that. And the Pictou County Sports Hall of Fame should say Clary McKinnon. So they got reversed when the printing took place for some reason. So we're going back to the idea of having a citizen appointed from council to serve on that committee. That was the case for a number of years. And then we started having a member of council on that committee. It became difficult. I know Councillor McGregor was on that committee appointed, and there was a lot of conflict with our meetings and so on when they were meeting. So former councillor Clary McKinnon has volunteered to accept that on our behalf to represent the town of Westville on that committee. So we appreciate that. And then, of course, we all know that there's big things coming with the Sports Hall of Fame, that with their new building going to be going up in Trenton.
Yeah.
Hopefully in the next year or so. They started digging down there, I know. Yep. So it's underway. So there's going to be a lot of important things happening that we'll expect Clary to report back to us on when he attends those meetings. So with that, I think we've all had a chance to look at the list of other appointments, and if you're good with that, I would accept a motion.
I can, Your Honor, I can read a motion on with regard to that. Whereas the Municipal Government Act, as amended, requires the town of Westville to have certain committees of council and empowers council to create other committees of council and appoint a deputy mayor. And whereas Westville Town Council has discussed and agreed upon an approach to allocating the work associated with both legislatively required and optional council committees, as well as the manner in which the deputy mayor position will be rotated among councillors during their term in office. Therefore, be it resolved that Westville Town Council adopts the committee assignments as presented. Be it further resolved that Councillor Sarah McKinnon be appointed deputy mayor for a period of 12 months, to be followed in the position for 12 months by each of the other councillors in the order of the number of votes earned in the 2024 municipal election.
So we have a mover for that resolution?
I would move to accept that resolution.
I'll second that.
Moved and seconded. Ready for the question? Before we vote on it, I just want to point out that there are other citizens who have stepped up and are mentioned on or noted on this list of appointments to various committees. So we do have, beyond council, we do have citizens appointed to committees. The audit committee, for example, includes all of council, but it also includes Kevin Duggan, who is a citizen appointee as well. And on the Planning Advisory Committee, we have 2 citizens appointed on the Planning Advisory Committee, that being Robert Partington, who is the chair, actually, and Nevin McKinnon. So they're included on this list. The rest, all of council is a part of Planning Advisory as well. On the Recreation Committee, in addition to Danielle and Helen being council appointees to the Recreation Committee, we have Kelsey McClellan, Deva Carr, and Gina Snell, who are also members of the Recreation Committee. What else? What other committees do we have? Accessibility, and this year we've included wrapped into the Accessibility Committee, Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee. We made it one committee because the two are so tied together: accessibility and diversity, equity, and inclusion. And we have citizens appointed on that as well. Joe Kipax, Mary Lou Fulton, and Yvonne Crawford are the citizen appointees to that committee. Other than that, I'm just trying to think of what, the Police Commission, obviously, Dorothy Lynn Hale, Bill Gray, Stephen Jowdry, and Sean McLaughlin are all citizen appointees on the Police Commission, in addition to council representation, which this year will be Councilor McGregor, Councilor Dunn, and Deputy Mayor McKinnon. I think that's, and I mentioned Claire McKinnon on the Sports Hall of Fame. So other than that, the rest of the assignments are all taken up by members of council. So are you ready for the questions?
Question.
Questions being called. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Okay. Moving on then to the Code of Conduct. Code of Conduct resolution, I believe you have that.
I do.
Taylor?
If you'd like,
Yeah.
just for the benefit of citizens or residents, some may be aware that the government of Nova Scotia has is requiring that all municipalities across the province adopt a code of conduct. They've sent it out, and there's a requirement for all municipalities to approve that code of conduct before a date in December. I think it's the 9th or something like that. So that's what the background to this. Just would point out that Westville already had a code of conduct, so this is a code of conduct on a code of conduct, but it's legislatively required.
This is one that all municipal units in the province will be signing and agreeing to, as I understand it. This has been, just a little more background, this was been discussed, and there was a committee from the Nova Scotia Federation of Municipalities working with representatives from the province on this. Believe it or not, this has been ongoing since about 2018, I'm going to guess, I remember correctly. It's been a long process. with a lot of input from around the province, from various municipalities and individual councillors, as well as the province, to get to the point of actually having the wording and the agreeing on a code of conduct, which thankfully, I'm going to say, you know, I've been here for 12 years now on this council. There has never been, to my recollection, anything even remotely close to, you know, requiring a call out on a code of conduct basis for the previous councils that I've been on. And so we're very fortunate here. I mean, because I can tell you from knowledge around the province, being involved with the Nova Scotia Federation, it's not the case in all municipal units. There's a lot of issues, there's a lot of personality things that come into play, and a lot of things that step over the line of what would be considered good conduct by municipal councillors. And that's what precipitated the desire and the need on a province basis to come up with a code of conduct for municipal representatives. So that's a little bit more of the background, sorry.
So this is the resolution provided by the ministry. Whereas the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing for the province of Nova Scotia has made the Code of Conduct for Municipal Elected Officials Regulations 220-2024, and whereas municipalities are required to adopt the model code of conduct prescribed by the regulations on or before December the 19th, 2024, pursuant to Section 4.1 of the regulations and Section 23A of the Municipal Act, therefore be it resolved that Westville Town Council hereby adopts the model code of conduct set forth in Schedule A of the regulations, which shall be titled the Code of Conduct for Elected Officials of the Town of Westville.
You have a mover for that resolution?
I'll move the resolution.
I'll second it.
Moved and seconded. Are you ready for the question?
Question.
Question's being called. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. And at some point in time, I expect that we'll all be signing that particular document.
Updated one.
Yes.
Just a
Yeah,
question.
we did sign one when we were sworn in, but I think that was our own, correct, CAO Weirs?
Yeah, well, there was the standard oath.
Right.
And
Right.
you did at the same time
Sign the code of
sign
conduct.
Yeah.
your own
Right.
kind of code of
Right,
conduct.
okay.
Just a quick question, would there be anything to repeal for us from a code of conduct, like, nothing there? And just a second point, I know this one is for elected officials and it comes from the province, do we have one for town staff as well, by any chance?
Well, there are a number that kind of fall into that
Yeah.
zone, so there's a policy and so it's policies as opposed to codes.
Right.
But, you know, harassment and those sorts of things, so they
Yeah.
exist. So you've got a pretty good, from an administrative perspective, I feel that Westville had done a
Covered
pretty
off
good
on that.
job.
Okay,
You've covered
yeah.
all the
Yeah.
basic angles, I think.
No, it's operational, but it was more just for
Yeah.
Right.
my own
Yeah,
sake.
no,
Yeah.
exactly.
Very good. Thank you. Do we vote on that, Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Insurance for councillors.
Do you want to do that as part of the resolutions? So, the rezoning?
It's
Next.
next.
It's next.
It's next.
Oh, it's next, sorry.
After. It's on my agenda, at least.
My thing went blank.
My next item on the agenda is insurance for councillors.
Right. If I could just speak to that for 2 seconds. So, in your on your desks today is a document that talks about whether asks you to think about between now, not looking for a decision today, so it's for information today. Think about whether you think that it makes sense to have life.
Medical.
Not medical, well, medical possibly, but particularly life, accidental death and dismemberment, and dependent life insurance as part coverage for you as counselors. And this comes from the fact that in the previous term of this council, or the previous council, 2 members of council actually passed away while in office, and there was no coverage. You know, as you'll see in the report, there's a number of municipalities across Nova Scotia that do provide those sorts of coverages for their councillors. But it's not a majority by any stretch, but there's quite a number, 15 or so, that do provide that coverage. And it's just something I think that you should think about. I'd hoped to have completely up-to-date figures for you today, but the providers weren't able to get back to me with figures yet, but I expect those to come in the next week or two. Bring this forward, suggest we bring this forward to, or take this forward to the next council meeting, and you consider it at that point.
I was going to suggest that maybe our committee of the whole, we could have representatives from come and present to us with a little more detail, if that could be done.
Yeah.
And then we can, after the committee of the whole, then we can move it to council if we so desire and deal with it there for decision making. Does that sound reasonable to council? Okay.
Scott,
Yeah,
I will say it.
it really is,
Yeah, I think it's an excellent idea. I'm wondering if it's something that we can, like, is it something that councillors could get into the same kind of policies that Westville Town staff could go into, or would it be something that would have to be completely
yeah,
separate?
It's possible to, you know, that moves from being, you know, once you get into medical and dental, those sorts of things, then it becomes a thing of kind of cost sharing,
Right.
between, you know, the town
Right.
and councillors. So I think that's part of the discussion that you should be having and thinking
Yeah.
about between now and the next time this comes up.
Right, and even making it like an optional thing, you know, so if there is a counselor that doesn't need it because they feel like they're covered through their employer, just making it an optional,
Yeah.
an option for those who don't. I think it's fantastic.
We can look at the whole.
Yeah,
It's great. There's no question. It came to light, as CAO says, I don't think any of us even thought about it until, it was on Megan's passing, really. Betty Jean, when Betty Jean passed first, as we know, but there was no question of it at that time. But the question came to us after Megan's passing, is there an insurance of some kind for counselors? So it's worth looking at, no question.
yeah.
Okay, so then moving on to the rezoning request, then that was the public hearing that we just held.
So I'll
me to
read a
read it
resolution. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
We all practiced up on
I did. Is it the Stone Superior Home?
Yes.
All right, here we go. Second time's the charm. Whereas Stone Superior Homes Limited have applied to rezone properties 24-1 and 24-2 of Plan 24-163201 Old Truro Road from rural residential, RR, to residential 2 unit dwelling, R2. And whereas on September 18th, 2024, at its regular meeting, the Town of Westville's Planning Advisory Committee reviewed and recommended that Town Council approve the requested rezoning application for first reading at the September 23rd, 2024 Council meeting. And whereas the application to rezone 24-1 and 24-2 of Plan 24-163201 Old Truro Road be given first reading September 23rd, 2024. And whereas a public hearing on the matter was held on November 25th and council has received no substantive complaints or concerns about the rezoning application. Therefore, be it resolved that the Westville Town Council approves the application to rezone properties 24-1 and 24-2 of the plan of 24-163201 Old Truro Road from rural residential, RR, to residential 2 unit dwelling, R2.
You moved? Seconder?
I would second that. Motion.
Moved
Moved and
seconded?
seconded.
You ready for the question?
Question.
Question's called. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. Motion is carried. I'm sure that you can inform Stones that the approval was granted this evening, and we'll expect to see the houses there like next week.
I'm waiting to hear.
All right. Very good.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank
Sean.
you, Sean.
Appreciate it. Next item is the Audit Committee terms of reference. And this came up, as you recall, at our last audit meeting prior to looking at our budget. Well, I'm looking here, but I know that former Deputy Murphy would remember this. Our previous council, when we had the last audit committee meeting prior, and Councillor McKinnon back there, that there was some question about the terms of reference, how we were to proceed and so on. And CIO has done some work on that since that time, I know.
Yeah, so I think I circulated to all councilors the draft of that identified the changes from what was to what is proposed. I did receive a couple of relatively minor recommendations for change. Those will be made, and then I propose to bring that forward at the first meeting of the audit committee.
Okay, perfect. Good with that, Council? All right. Sounds good. We're going to move on to public engagement then. This is the time in our meeting when we ask if anyone has anything to bring before council from the public, either comment, question, or whatever it might be. This is your opportunity. Anything?
You have to come
You
up.
need, so the protocol is you need to come to our mic, indicate your name and your address, and your question or comment.
Get cozy. Just joking. All right, I'm just gonna say.
Good evening, Council. Mary Kay McKinnon, 2326 Cowan Street, Westville. I would have liked to ask our planner this, but I wasn't allowed to. I'm curious, is the full plan of their development off Truro Road? I mean, are they planning to do a big subdivision there, or do we know?
There's another phase that we are hoping that there's been discussion, there's another phase that there's been discussion on, yes. And we are hopeful that at some point, in the not too distant future, there will be a development going in there as well
Now, the
by the same company.
construction of these buildings, is that going to be done on site, or are these modulars?
These are manufactured homes that they're bringing there.
Okay.
That's the business they're in.
And they're made where?
They're made in Sussex, New Brunswick.
Okay.
Prestige Homes.
All right, thank you. Pleased that we're going forward.
Thank you. Anything else anyone has?
I'm David Carr of 2099 Diamond Street. I know that there was some ongoing changes to the structure of the water contract with New Glasgow, and I recently saw in the news that they are deciding to take the fluoride out of the water. Now, I have a young child who's not a huge fan of brushing his teeth, and I personally am not a huge fan of cavities. And those two things, the fluoride in the water and the reduction in child cavity rates, there's a pretty direct line between those two things, and I know we're already in the exploratory stages of our own water supply, but I just thought that it was relevant with that news coming out of New Glasgow and our current contract with them. But otherwise, on the waterfront, huge successes with the water meters. Really pleased with everything. Everything's going great.
Excellent.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, David. Yeah, the matter, of course, that's a decision that they are entitled to make. They own the water supply. We buy our water from New Glasgow, as you've said. And so we have little control over that decision, really. We have no control over that decision, in my understanding. Now, having said that, as you pointed out, we're about to renegotiate the contract deal that we have with New Glasgow with regard to water supply. So, not to say that that might not be a part of it, but if they're if they made the decision, that's their decision to make. It's not something that we can get involved in.
Just a comment, it is like a legitimate concern. The information that I've looked into about it shows that the Nova Scotia Dental Association is quite concerned about that decision as well. So as a parent, I understand where you're coming from on that regard. So just
And
to
there is
acknowledge
another
that.
side, there's another opinion, there's another,
So,
as I
yeah,
understand it.
yeah.
You know, there's another school of opinion that would say otherwise, so it's
Jury
one of
appears
those
to be
things.
quite out on it, actually.
Pardon?
The jury appears to be quite out on it on
Right,
either side
right.
right now.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Linda White, 2130 Duggan Avenue. This is just comments that's going around the town. We're talking, and I mentioned it to Lenny earlier, talking about the three-way stop sign that's on Cowan Street. And I understand it's to control the speed, but I'm just wondering if the town might have kind of made a little mistake and should have put a four-way stop sign at the end of Office Street where you'd almost take your life to try to get out of that intersection. You got to get out, and you're right out in the road, and if they come flying up Cowan Street, it's too late. And there's several people have made that comment that it would have provided more of a valuable service to be on that intersection and not the one on Porter's Lane where you have clear vision. So, just a comment to take into consideration.
I would, I'll choose my words carefully, but I expect that the whole matter of those stops and where they are and traffic control, traffic calming, all those things are going to be very much on the agenda of Police Commission and Council in the next number of months. I would expect that, I said to council members recently, you know, we're pretty fresh off the campaign trail. And you know, we had an opportunity to talk to a lot of people and listen to concerns that they have and so on. I would say from my part, and I expect it's pretty much the same, that traffic speeding is high on the list of residents' concerns. So I think it's something that we need to at least have a discussion on.
Yeah.
And this is my personal view, and leave no option not looked at. You know, so, you know, yeah.
I'd hate to see us turn into Willow Avenue in Glasgow. Like, it's every 10 feet, you got a four-way stop sign or a three-way stop sign, and those two intersections are so close together that, like, I think a four-way stop on that one would control the speed on Cowan, plus address the dangerous issue of trying to get off Office Street onto Cowan. But
It's
anyway,
a good point.
thank you.
Thank you very much. You know, that, like I say, that's
She's not wrong.
the traffic issue and is a concern in many parts of town. And, you know, it's something that I'm trying to be careful because what I want to say is, and I'll just say it, you know, we're very fortunate as a town, in my opinion, this is my opinion only, that's our biggest issue. Not to say that's not a serious issue, because it only takes one incident for it to become extremely more serious than just a noise matter or whatever. So we have to address it, we have to look at it seriously, and I think we will. Well, that's my point. That's my point. So we need to address that, and we will do that, I believe, through the Police Commission and Traffic Authority and Council combined. We need to do that. So, and I say, you know, in my opinion, nothing will be left off the table as far as ideas or possible solutions is concerned with regard to that whole traffic issue. No question about it. I was going to make the comment that at least on the, I've been down Willow Avenue a few times in Glasgow, and you know what I don't see? I don't see any skid marks by those signs. I don't see any burn marks of tires. So,
You can't get this.
Haven't got enough time.
I don't know. Well, maybe it's working. But in any event, no, it's a good point.
Dave Dignan, North Main Street. This is the first time hearing about the fluoride in New Glasgow, and I don't know if it's because it wasn't announced or it was on Facebook, and I didn't get. But was there a public meeting on it?
Not that I know of. I don't think. It was in the paper. Was it just a
There
news
was a public
report?
announcement that I read on Facebook.
And was
that
there
came
like,
from
you had so
Glasgow.
much time to submit or something to it, or anything like this, or they?
We have nothing to do, like I said.
No,
we have
I know,
control
but
over
I
it.
mean, well.
I was looking at you as the question was being asked.
I'm a little
as a
upset
dentist,
about it as
retired.
far as it goes, because I'd like to have known about it, so if there was a place to go to speak out about it, that it's a valuable necessity, actually, as the young gentleman said. I know I'm in the business, or have been in the business, and it's a valuable treatment option for children, and particularly children with the lower income, as far as it goes. So, I mean, we didn't have a chance to speak out about it.
Right.
We are 5,000 people almost in the area that gets water from the Glasgow, and we had no say in it. I think
We
a
were
letter
not
or
asked.
something should be sent to
We
New
were not asked,
Glasgow.
let's put it that way.
Well, I think a letter should be sent strongly from New Glasgow and saying, you're supplying water to us, and we had no say in it.
I think that'll
I'm
be
pretty
part.
upset about that,
As I
especially if there's
said-
no public meeting about it to express your concerns about it, or.
As I said, I think that'll be part of, when we get to the discussion part, which we're anticipating to be coming very soon, with regard to the water supply from New Glasgow, that matter can certainly be one of the issues that we raise. No question. Thank you, Murphys.
Mary Kay McKinnon, 2326 Collins Street. I agree with Dave that we haven't had any input on this, and yet we buy from them. But is there a possibility our town could fluoride what we do buy? Is there a process somewhere where the water comes in?
I'm looking at our superintendent of public works. I'm looking at the superintendent of public works down there for an answer.
Yes, so no, there's no actual way for us to treat the fluoride because it's a treatment in the water.
Yeah.
So New Glasgow did not have to, so they did send me an email stating they are taking out of the fluoride out of the water. It's a treatment process for them, which is nothing to do with us. We purchased the water, so it's their right to take that out as a treatment. So that's why it wasn't publicly engaged. But no, there's not a way for us to treat
Right.
with the fluoride because you'd have to go treatment. It's not a, we're just distribution, not treatment, so.
You're way through council, through the provincial government to address, though, to say, we have a complaint which I think is legitimate, to ask them before they shut it off, to assess it, and perhaps have a vote on all those people that get the services.
Yeah.
Because it's always easier, it's just a small group that's talked so much, if they can come up with some scientific proof as to what the problem is, they have all kinds of hearsay, but should put some proof on the table.
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of input New Glasgow had or what public, information they gave out prior to or requested. I have no idea if they did, in fact. I don't know if it was just a unilateral decision by them to do that on recommendation from someone. I mean, I'm assuming.
Or price, I don't know why they would decide to do that. And did they already do it?
That's what I was
That
just
I do not
asking.
know.
I can't remember what I read about them doing it, but I do know that there was some residents in New Glasgow that
Oh,
were upset
absolutely.
about it too, right? So,
There was, I believe it was a CBC article, actually, I could be wrong, but there was a lengthy one discussing it and talking about, some of the larger cities in this country that have already done it, that have
and
stopped, right?
and in the States too. Yeah, the
Yes.
States too.
Yes.
But I don't recall ever seeing anything for a notice to discuss it, like for anywhere along the way. I don't recall.
No. To my knowledge, there wasn't any.
Clary McKinnon, 2326 Cowan Street. This is a very, very important issue, and I firmly believe that it's not just a New Glasgow problem, it's not just a Westville problem, it's also a municipality of the county of Pictou problem too, because we actually supply the water to the high school, to Northumberland. And so 2 schools that we serve are actually getting water from New Glasgow as well. And this is a very, very important issue. I'm glad it was raised here tonight. And as Dr. Dignan Dave said, was there a plebiscite? And I don't think the people had an opportunity to have any input. And I firmly believe that it's the people that should decide these matters, not a very select few. So I hope it goes further than here. Thank you.
So my thoughts on this are this. I would suggest that we contact New Glasgow and ask them to send someone before us to explain the decision process and how they arrived at the decision and what the rationale for the decision is. As a customer, as a large customer who buys a lot of water, spends a lot of money on water, purchases from New Glasgow. And as you say, Clary, with the water going to the county. So as I'm thinking about this now, that would be my suggestion, that I can certainly, on behalf of council, pen a request to New Glasgow, asking them to come before us and as a customer, as I say, and just tell us the process and the rationale for it as a customer.
What about also encouraging residents that are feeling concerned about this and worried about it as a negative decision, attending the New Glasgow Council and asking those questions, bringing your concerns to the forefront too, so that it's addressed? I'd be looking up to see when the next New Glasgow Council meeting is and making that a priority to have your voice heard.
And your worship, just a quick look at that article, the decision was actually made by their council on recommendation from their engineering department. So council voted on it in Glasgow.
Right.
But according to online, just a quick.
Yeah, no, I think that was what happened. So it was a recommendation from the water manager, whatever the title is that he has, engineer.
It was the assistant director of engineering and public works.
Right. So, but I think I think we can at least do that, and that would be to, as I said, ask them to come before a meeting of our council.
That's actually what I was saying.
Oh.
Something to look for.
I really think that the town here needs to find out if they did not have a public meeting for this, that's number one. If they didn't, I think the letter should go to the Minister of Health and ask them to say, how can they do this to people that are users of this product or whatever, and that's what I was saying. And I really think they should.
I understand what you're saying.
It should be on record
Yes.
that this council has stood up for fluoridation.
I
Yeah.
agree.
I agree. I don't disagree with that. But I think there's a process. I think, I think we need to take the steps to make sure that we have the information before us so we can state our case based on that this is what we did. We made this request. They came, they presented, here's what we heard. We don't agree with it, and then go, as you're talking about, to the next step and going to the province. Not to say that we can't do that right away, but I prefer, personally, would feel more comfortable with getting it directly from them as to the rationale of their decision that they made. As a customer, because that's what we are.
Lenny, sorry for my lack of information, but is New Glasgow the only option for our purchase of water?
It is at the current time, yes.
Okay.
And looking online, their next council meeting, it's already happened. It happened on the 18th of November, so the next one's not until December 16th.
Yeah.
So we should have some things in place and figuring things out before that.
We can have my suggestion is that we'd ask them to come before our committee of the whole meeting, and that's an open public meeting. Anybody can come to that meeting. Anybody. Oh, it'll be big enough. If it's not, we'll move. Yep. That's easy.
Absolutely.
That's easy. But I really do think that that's the, and that's just hearing the concerns and so on. that would be what I'd suggest our steps be, to ask them to come, present to us the decision, how they arrived at it, the rationale for it, and entertain our questions and concerns at that time. Well,
We know the answer is.
they had to give us notice, in my opinion, because we are a customer, but beyond that, let's be fair and real. They own the water, we buy it from them. We are the customer, you know? We can't dictate those
I
things.
think it becomes,
Yeah,
it boils down to, I think there's, a moral obligation to let us know
Yeah.
for sure. And then I think where the divide becomes is, it's not part of the public drinking water, what's the term I'm looking for? The quality of the actual drinking water itself, like when it comes to treatment of the water, that it's not part of, like, the Department of Environment doesn't regulate it that way. So it becomes one of these situations where I think ethically they should have, or morally should have, most certainly
because
let us know.
it doesn't affect the quality of the
100%.
water as
Yeah.
far as,
From a treatment,
safety
for
of the
actual
water.
safety, yeah. It's
but we can
frustrating.
certainly do that,
Frustrating.
and we will do that.
Okay.
Anything else? Well, this is why we have, and by the way, this is why we have this on our agenda. A lot of councils around this province do not give this opportunity to residents or citizens to speak at council meetings. We've chosen to do that. And this is one of the great reasons why I think it's one of the, we need to do this continually, because this matter would not have been discussed tonight had it not been raised by Dava. So, thank you, Dave. It's the same with a lot of issues that this town has. I said it before with previous council, and say it again. The five of us sitting up here can't expect to know everything, every issue that's important in this town, and what needs to be done on all fronts in this town. So we need public input, and this is a great example of that, to initiate this discussion. So I appreciate that very much. A number of meetings coming up that I want to just mention very quickly before we close, and that is we have a group of students from the Dell Planning class, master's students, who have been undertaking a project in Westville that a lot of people probably aren't aware of, but helping us with looking at our downtown, in particular, the downtown core, and suggestions as to how we improve and move forward with that. They're going to be presenting to council on Thursday of this week, on the 28th. This week, 28th, this coming Thursday at 6 p.m. here in council chambers. And that's an open public meeting as well, and I'd encourage you to, if you can, attend. It's going to be exciting stuff, I think. We're looking forward to what they have to say. I'm going to be out of town attending the NSFM conference, but I'm going to remotely join that meeting, hopefully. Yeah, I think that was set, was it not? Yeah, I think it was.
Okay.
Yeah. And then we have a couple other things coming up that I want to mention. Yeah, that's the wrong date.
Yeah.
The Planning Advisory Committee, the next meeting will be on December the 18th. Once again, that's a public meeting with lots of information. As I said previously, I encourage people to attend that if they can. Our Megan's Place, once again, this is important as well. We are at a stage with Megan's Place where we had tenders out to look at who's going to actually do the install at Megan's Place and provide the equipment. We're at that stage now where we awarded that tender, but we want public input as well. And we reached out to specific groups who have knowledge and information that we feel is valuable. Same groups that we reached out to when we were talking about designing Megan's Place. And we're asking them to come on December the 3rd. Here in council chambers again. CIO, where's speak to that?
Almost. So there is, in fact, two meetings with regard to the design 2.0. So we have the first, we had an initial design prepared as part of the RFP process. But we also had indicated during that RFP process that there would be additional consultations with the community to refine the design. And so we've had some discussions with the contractor, the designer, and we have a new revised design that we would like to run past both professionals in the world, people who provide services to persons with disabilities, as well as the public. And so on December the 2nd, we've invited a number of organizations from across Pictou County who provide services to people with disabilities to come in and work with town staff and the designer to think about should there be additional changes. And then the following day, we have an open meeting for citizens to be able to come in and and express their interest or their preferences with regard to the design of Megan's Place. So both of those are happening next week.
Right. December the 3rd is on Tuesday of next week, I believe.
That's right.
Scary. Where did November go? So yeah, so that's a really important step in the process of Megan's Place. We hope to have Megan's Place, the install starting in the spring, hopefully gearing towards having an opening, hopefully, on the second anniversary, sad anniversary of Megan's passing, which is the end of July. So those are our goalposts that we're aiming for. And once again, I think it's, we want to express gratitude and thanks to all the people that have donated, all the businesses and individuals and corporations who have, and government agencies who've donated to making this a reality. Never out of my mind very far the commitment to Megan on her last request to have this accessible playground built in Westville. So we're looking forward to that. Another one of the reasons that I chose to reoffer, by the way. The other thing that I wanted to mention outside of, the Board of Police Commissioners meeting. So the first one for the new commission members will be on the 17th of December. And once again, those police commission meetings are open public meetings. I can tell you from experience, I get very few people from the public come to those meetings. And I'm going to suggest that all the things that I heard on the doorstep, like I was just talking about with regard to traffic and speeding and all those concerns that people have, come to the police commission meetings. It's the same thing there. We have open meetings and we have opportunity for people to speak at police commission meeting as well. So, come, please. Don't sit at home and complain or be concerned. Have your voice heard, and it will be heard. And that input will result in action. I mean, that's as simple as I can put it. That's how the process works. So come to the police commission meetings and have your voices heard. And see what the commission is doing as well, by the way. Just to observe the activity that goes on with the police department here in town, which is unbelievable for a small force, the amount of work that they do, not unlike our other departments in town, which are small but mighty. Let's put it that way. So those are, Accessibility Committee is meeting on the 19th as well, at 7 o'clock here in Chambers. And our next regular council meeting, so that brings me to this, council. It would be normally on the 30th of December. I'm guessing that council would prefer not to meet on the 30th of December. If we go back a week and have it a week early, then that's the 23rd of December, which I'm guessing probably might not be the best day as well. It just happens where Christmas falls this year. It makes it a little difficult. So I'm open to suggestion with regard to our December meeting. Comment?
Could we look at going just a week back from that? Like instead of the 23rd, going back to the Monday before?
The 16th, that would be.
That would be in 2 weeks.
That's 2 weeks from now.
Not enough time.
Not enough time to get stuff
My suggestion was going to be that, and this, we've never done this since I've been on council, but that we forego a regular meeting in December because of the dates and how they conflict with the season, so to speak.
Well, and my comment to that would be, I think that if anything arose that we needed
Right.
to do business, we could have a special council meeting if we did need to
Right.
pass something, you know, between now and then, so.
That was the rest of my, going to be the rest of my comment.
That'd
That
be fine.
we basically leave it that if the CAO recognizes, indicates that we need a matter dealt with before the end of December, that we convene a special meeting with council and leave it at that, without a date assigned to it. So is that agreeable by council? Is that, everyone comfortable with that?
Yep.
All right, we'll do that. The other thing, very quickly, is the coming up, a couple events coming up. Parade of Lights. Parade of Lights is coming up on the 7th,
7th.
which is a week from this Saturday. Parade of Lights, always a well-attended event here in town as well. Encourage people to take note of that. And what was, I didn't write the other one down. Sorry? Right, that's the other one that I'm trying to think of, Gordy, thank you very much. So, our Christmas concert, town Christmas concert, and by the way, I'm calling it Christmas concert. I know the, went out and said holiday concert, chose to call it Christmas concerts. And that's being held on the 5th, the 5th of December, which is next Wednesday. Thursday. God, I'm having trouble with dates tonight. The 3rd. The 5th, I'm sorry. 5th of December, which is Thursday, by the way. Good heavens. Amazing what a calendar will do for you. So that's at 7 o'clock in the gymnasium. Once again, the social committee has done a great job of organizing that and come up with a great lineup of talent to provide us with entertainment for the festive season. So please get the word out. That's on the 5th of December at 7 o'clock.
Which is a Thursday.
Which is a Thursday, by the way.
Thursday.
And so those are two important events coming up, and encourage you to attend those. And other than that, no further business before us. The meeting stands adjourned. Sorry. It's all right. It's all right for residents. Council does need to have an in-camera session on a contract matter, so we need a motion before.
I move to go in camera.
Motion to go in camera.
I would second that.
Moved and seconded to go in camera. Ready for the question?
Question.
Questions called. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Bye.
Bye. No. Sorry, gross.
Dave,
Are you still on?
Dave, Dave.